All right, guys, welcome to the Comeback Athlete podcast. This week, I'm going to be doing a solo, and I want to give you a quick update on what we're going to be talking about. So, have you ever been training really, really hard and you're not seeing results and you feel like utter just trash? Well, this is it for you. We find that with a lot of our clients, they want to get back in the game, they want to work hard, but they train in ways they did 10 years ago that worked for them that no longer do. So we're going to go over three key principles. I'll share my story of how this was true for me. And then three things that we do to coach philosophically through this to help our clients have a better experience and get greater results. So tune in. If you like this, please subscribe and share, and hope that you enjoy the podcast today. What's up, guys? Today I'm flying solo for the Comeback Athlete podcast. I'm your host, Blake. As if you guys didn't know my name. But one of the things I really want to talk about is, as I'm going to start doing some more solo podcasts, is why your training doesn't work. So, in other words, why training hard and you feel like crap and you're going hard all the time and yet you're not seeing the results. And I'm not actually trying to pick on anybody because this was my story. This was who I was. So I'll start, like, before I give you any principles and all that stuff, I'll just kind of share my athletic background. So I grew up playing football my whole life. I started playing football at like 10 years old, tackle, loved it, became my identity in high school. I went and played 1 year of college, 2 years of semi-pro. I transferred to a college that didn't have a football program, and I really enjoyed the college. And for lots of reasons, I decided to stay, but I found a semi-pro football team I'd play on in the summer and come home and do that. So all of my exercise and training was around performing for football, which, if you don't know, is like be explosive, be extremely fast for about 5 to 7 seconds, and be extremely strong and lots of hip drive, and lots of explosion upper body from the hip drive. So very tight upper thoracic spine, like very bent forward. It's not a huge deal to have extraordinary overhead mobility for football players. So, you're just very bench press, back squat, jump, load, 40-yard dash, sprint kind of focus for that sport. And I had a blast doing it. I was good at it. I loved training for it. I was the guy after weight training class, after school, we went and grabbed pickup trucks and we pushed them in the parking lot for extra, strength training. I worked out with the offensive linemen because they were stronger, and I set a lot of records in high school for weightlifting. Um, I had a 500-pound back squat. Right, I was not a great bench presser, but hit 185 for 20 reps at the Maryland Combine, and so yeah, and I ran like a 4.740. So I was decently fast, decently athletic. I think I hit as much of my genetic potential as I possibly could. And hard part about a sport like football, though, is like when it ends, it's over. It's not like you can still go play football at the basketball court or pick up some friends on the weekend, go play some soccer in a field. Like, football requires a lot of organizing, requires pads, it requires practices. It's an ultimate team sport. So when that was over, I stopped working out. Um, I really, I worked out in college just for that, and then I started dating my wife and wanted to graduate. Had some other things I really wanted to get into with regarding working with inner city kids and at risk youth. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a football coach. And so a lot of my fitness went out the door. I lost my purpose. I wound up getting up to like 245. I got really big, threw my back out a couple times, not even doing anything very significant. And because of that, I wound up trying to figure out how to get back in shape. But here I was, like, building a career. I had moved in the inner city of Baltimore. I was running, I was writing curriculum and teaching an after school program for at risk youth. And then I was working as a youth pastor, and my wife was a social worker. We were just busy. So, back in the day, I mean, this is going to make me sound old, but like, we had infomercials with like P90X, and you would buy these DVDs, and there was one called Insanity, and I did that one, and I lost some weight. And this was literally just something I could do at the house. And I bought some gym equipment, started doing CrossFit in front of my house. And I built like a wooden rack, so I could do squats and pull ups. And it was actually really cool. I'd have a ton of people from the neighborhood I lived in Baltimore City, um, in Northeast Baltimore City, and guys who didn't know me would come over and work out. It was just a great way to bridge the gap. Um, racially too, just white guys and black guys hanging out. We had this common ground of fitness, which was really cool. Anyways, that was like kind of where I started getting into just trying to get in shape, but I didn't have a purpose and I was doing tons of random workouts. And I found CrossFit, like the gym, the actual gym to go to and do CrossFit, not just like online, do it in front of my house. And my wife and I decided to do it for a month. I think we got like a Groupon, which for you young bucks out there, that was like this coupon thing you could do on the internet that I don't even think's around anymore. And we did our first month of CrossFit for $50 each. And that was the that was the beginning of falling in love with just kind of finding a community that trains hard together like I had in sport. And it kind of really gave that itch of being on the football team again. Except back in the day, the football program, the football team, you had very specific programs that your coach would write for you. You did, and you would just get stronger. It was pretty just generic progressive overload stuff. This was like a mixture of all kinds of really interesting things, from climbing ropes to snatching to, running and doing burpees and double unders to, you know, having to push a sled and flip tires. And there was just all these cool different things in it. And so it was very exciting. And as much as I appreciate CrossFit's ability to give you something exciting towards trying to see if you can express this with your body, I found that like I really had no idea what the program was going to do. And I was just thinking, give me something hard, give me something that's going to make me feel like I'm going to throw up at the end, and that will be worth it. And I did that probably for 4 years, just jumping in class. I moved back down to Lakeland, Florida, and jumped in another CrossFit gym here in town, probably in 2016. And the people there just weren't even harder than the gym I was at back in Baltimore. And we were just throwing down, having fun. And I got really tired. And this was like a crossroad for me because I was trying to keep up, going 6 in the morning. I was PRing my lifts. I was doing everything, but I had just had my second kid. I was in a master's program. I was getting like 5.5 hours of sleep a night. And the only nutritional advice I had ever heard was from a CrossFit gym: eat paleo. I'm like, oh, that sounds right. And it worked for me to lose weight and look kind of the way I wanted to look. But as far as like performance, I had no idea what I was talking about. And so I got to this point where I just kind of like totally burned out. Um, and I overslept and missed a class I was supposed to coach. I was like a part-time CrossFit coach at the time. And I just had to take a break. And I was super defeated because it felt like losing football all over again. I had gone from PR and some really cool fitness tests that are in CrossFit to hit some heavy lifts to like I'm like well trained. I can go anytime. I'm crushing it. And it was just like I had a go hard mentality, and I was very competitive. And I think at that point for me, like I was like, I'm gonna have to find something different. So I went for probably 4 or 5 months without really going to the gym. I got like an alumni membership to the college here in town that I had graduated from and went to their gym. And I started just doing some old football workouts because I just didn't have the time to do CrossFit. The gym wasn't set up for CrossFit. And I couldn't afford to go do any of that stuff at the time. So I finally made my way back to the CrossFit gym probably like 7, 8 months later. And I tried to start over doing the same thing. And it was super depressing because I was a lot more out of shape than I had been. I like lost a ton of my gains, and, a little bit of your identities in that, a little bit of your, uh, egos just hurt from what you could do and you can't do now. And I saw this coach, my friend Josh, over in the corner, and he kept looking at his phone. He was doing some different stuff. He was doing some Bulgarian split squats. He was doing some heavy back squats for like 3 reps, really slow and up. And I'm like, what is he doing? This is not CrossFit. And I really respected Josh. I really liked him as a coach. And I just asked him if I could start working out with him. because it looked like something different. And I realized he had a coach, and that this coach was writing him program, and he was following this program, and he just wanted to get stronger overall and better at CrossFit. But he was actually following things that were good for him that he needed. And I think I probably followed his program for a solid 3, 4 months. So I basically stole his personalized program and just applied it to mine without knowing what my goal was, like the stupidest thing possible. But I actually started learning some things, and then I got introduced to his coach, and I wound up hiring the guy. Um, and that was when I took training from, like, CrossFit really gave me that competitive, be on a team, compete with your body, have a purpose again. But you can get so lost in that in just doing class, or not sure what you're trying to accomplish in that. Is it a weight loss thing? Is it that, like, I really love trying to express my body? Is it just like I just need to be in a class and have someone tell me what to do? There's a lot of things there, but when you start maturing in your fitness, you start being elevated as an athlete with your body, and we'll talk about this in our principles here, and having autonomy, you start to realize, like, asking philosophical questions about why we're doing what we're doing, the purpose behind things, like, really drives the intent of actually training for a purpose. And when people get that, their ability to enjoy what they're doing, know what they're doing and why, and then building everything around it so that it actually works for the long haul becomes so much easier. And this is where the beauty of having a coach really comes in, because there's someone there to help you cultivate and create that. And that can change in seasons. There can be audibles, just like in, like, a football game. When a quarterback comes to the line, he has a play that the coach called, right? But when he sees the defense lined up in a way that they did not predict, they call an audible and change that play to a better play. That's a mature quarterback. An immature quarterback just runs the play, and it usually doesn't work because the defense was ready for it. Life is the defense against us with our fitness sometimes, and we need to recognize calling audibles. But in order to do that, you have to have such a more mature philosophical mind on how to approach your fitness and your nutrition and everything else. And it really starts with these three principles in my mind. So as I reflect on my own, why am I training so hard and I still feel like crap? Right. And then I'm trying to kind of filter my way through in my story, like, went from this, like, got out of shape out of football to finding CrossFit, and it gave me kind of a competitive feel again, and I enjoyed it, and I got some random good results. And then I had somebody that, like, I kind of got lost, and I found somebody who was found their purpose, and I tried to jump and, like, kind of land on top of their purpose, being lost in my own purpose, which we do a lot as humans. And then here we are, we got to this place where it's like, oh, I'm just going to hire this guy that he's working with, do the same thing for me, but make it specific for me. And it took off, right? I worked out less. I got better results. I felt better. I lost a ton of fat. I gained a ton of muscle, and I understood real principles of fitness to take with me the rest of my life. How does that apply for you? It's really these three things. Number one, it's purpose. Number two is systems, and number three is autonomy. Like, when you think about how to create something for the long haul for yourself, you want to start with purpose, move into what those systems are to create that purpose, and then move into autonomy and self regulating. So let's talk about the first principle first. We'll just spend a few minutes on each of these, and then we'll land the plane and close. But what are you actually training for right now? Right? That's like, what is your goal? What is your purpose? And it doesn't have to be like, I'm going to win gold at the next Olympics. It doesn't have to be that specific or that grandiose, right? It can be something as simple as, like, I want to be the fittest version of myself in my 40s that I ever thought could be possible. And so what that means is, like, I want to be able to push and express my body in ways of performance for me that I feel like is above and beyond for a 40-year-old. And so I want to think about that with a coach of what that looks like for what do most 40-year-olds do? I want to be able to do above that. I want to be a fit 40-year-old, right? Cool. That's a great goal. Why is that important to you? Would be more of a good concrete reason to kind of keep going. and be like, man, just because I want to live long and I want to constantly be someone who pushes myself. And that's a part of who I am, is someone who pushes myself for the sake of just always trying to grow and be better. Why you do that? Well, because I want my kids to see that. And I want my kids to grow up to be strong people who continue to better themselves. And that gets passed down to our grandchildren and so on and so forth. Right. I'm making this up, but you can kind of hear like it doesn't have to be winning gold all the time. Then after that, it's like define those categories. Make sure you understand like what fitness means to you. What does looking good mean to you? What is the particular areas and why is that so important to you? And when is there a date for it? Do you want to be like this all year? Do you need to be 10% body fat all year round? That sounds miserable to me around Christmas, but maybe for you, it's really important. So this is where like having conversations, journaling, thinking through these things is really important. But once you get that, then the program of nutrition and the program of your workouts really come together, because then you have the macro purpose of where are we going for the next 6 to 9 months? What is the weekly purpose that we're trying to accomplish in this macro period of 3 months of this cycle? And then what is the daily purpose of like this workout is intent for this, which is your ultimate goal to get you here, right? Training becomes easy at that point because you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. This sucks, but I understand why it sucks. And I understand what it's going to give me that I really, really want. Or a lot of people run into this. I've seen this often when I haven't asked these questions and been philosophical with a client enough. They run into this, man, that was a lot harder than I thought. I actually don't really want to be 10% body fat, or I don't really want to work on gymnastic handstand walks because my shoulders hurt and it sucks. And I don't like falling over and I feel really embarrassed in front of people when I do it. And it's actually not for me. Cool. Maybe you wouldn't have figured that out until you tried it. So we just need to figure that out. Now we pivot. But knowing what that purpose is creates the ultimate goal macro, and allows you to create cycles for goals to build to that goal. And it creates daily workouts and daily rest periods or recovery days that fit those goals. That's one. The systems after that are really just, which is the second principle, is understanding like what systems need to be put in place. So does the goal, right? The principle of like understanding the priority or the purpose, like is an aerobic system that needs to be in place? Is it a strength system? Is it a like, man, we just need to work on this person. They really want to do this tough mudder, but they don't like doing challenging things. And so we need to work on creating a more resilient mindset. So we need to give this person workouts that just creates that opportunity to grow that mental gauge, right? What is the system that needs to go in place to implement those things? What are the systems of recovery like that you need to follow? So it's like if you're training 6 days a week because you're trying to get ready for you're peaking for a CrossFit competition, like I am currently right now, like, right, what's my sleep protocol look like? What is my communication to my coach so that he can see it and hold me accountable look like? And then what is like my nutrition protocol look like, or systems? Like, do I have a food prep time? Do I know how many macros I need to get for my carbohydrates because I'm doing more performance? I need more recovery. I need more energy. Do I know that like my gut might get really upset because I'm doing so much more? And so I need to actually lower my protein slightly, maybe to more like zero point 0.8 per pound of body weight versus 1 gram per pound of body weight. Maybe that's like better for me personally because I know that. So creating those systems built around it, right? All defined from the principle of just knowing what your priority is. And then the last one I think is one that I aspire for all my clients to have is autonomy. So once you understand the intent and then you build the systems around the intent to accomplish that and to make sure that it actually can work, really creating autonomy is when the person becomes aware of their own body. They become aware of, their sleep was really bad last night. And so going and doing, 5 back squat singles at 95%, it's really going to be challenging on your nervous system. Is there a time to do that? Well, talking with your coach is like, man, maybe like you just know that you're going to be really fatigued when you do it in the workout. And so you have to do it to kind of get that feel. Or maybe it's like, hey, we're not training for that right now. We're actually trying to get you peak like bodybuilding, and we need to make sure that you actually cut down that stress that you just caused yourself from not getting enough sleep. And if you add this much more stress, you're actually going to raise cortisol and you're going to become more inflamed. You're going to cause more like, you know, sugar cravings and things like that. And so, not going to be helpful for the ultimate goal. So, when you gain that knowledge, working with coach, when you gain knowledge of like evaluating yourself and seeing how you respond and you understand your purpose, you can then self regulate. Like, you don't need a coach there to hold your hand the whole time and say, hey, should I or should I not do this workout today? It's like, no, like we've talked about this. When our sleep is below 4 hours and we have a heavy lifting day, we're going to skip the heavy lifting part and move into like maybe a zone 3, zone 2 workout for the day, go a little bit lighter, get a good sweat in, do some mobility and get home. We'll just repeat that next week or move it to another part of the week that actually fits in the systems that we set up. So this is kind of what it means to grow and have a real training program that is not one that just like makes you feel beat up and you're not getting results. The real key to getting results is principles, right? Of knowing your purpose. So having a clear purpose, having systems that support that purpose, and then growing in self-awareness to have autonomy of how to make good decisions within those systems, right? Systems are fluid. They're not like concrete usually. They're like yellow light, right? So yellow light to me means slow down and yield. And so what that really means is kind of like pay attention, but it doesn't mean you have to go 25 miles an hour or 15 miles an hour. It really means just yield to the traffic around you and be aware. That's what you really want to think about when you think of through autonomy. How do I yield appropriately to continue the main purpose that we're getting after within the systems we have? I hope this is helpful. If you're looking for more help or information on how to actually work with a coach so that you can have a great comeback story of getting into the best shape of your life for whatever particular goal you want to get after, hit us up, head on over to comebackathlete.com, fill out our coaching intake form. And what we'll do is we'll reach out to you after that and get a hold of you and do a discovery call and see if we're a good fit for you. So thanks for listening. Like, share, and subscribe.